What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Travel In. I'm back at it with another video. Like I told you guys, I'm trying to be consistent now, right? So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you guys tips or things to consider when picking a flight school. Right? I'm going to give you guys the reason why I picked Delaware State University. Shout out to GSU Aviation. And on top of that, I'm going to tell you guys some of the things I wish I knew before I picked the school I did, right? Because even though I believe I made a good decision, a lot of stuff I didn't know prior to my decision, right? So I'm gonna try to give you guys all these tips, so when you guys make your decision in picking a flight school, you make the best decision possible that's gonna work for you. But yeah, that's it, man. Let's get into it after this introduction. Let's go. Boom. Let's get into this. Before we even get into this, please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. Right, keep you guys updated, and comment and like, please, if you appreciate my content. And if you watched my last video, I told you guys I had to check out my schedule to become a certified flying instructor, but unfortunately my examiner canceled and I had it rescheduled, right? So hopefully I get that done on Monday, because I'm doing this video on a Friday. So hopefully by next video I'm a certified flying instructor, right? So now let's get to the meat of the subject. What are some of the things you should consider when picking a flight school? Number one, money. Point blank period. Number one, I believe very important is the cost, right? Aviation is not cheap. Aviation is not cheap, right? So when picking a school, you should definitely look around, browse different school, look at different prices, think about what you can afford, right? Whether you're gonna pay cash or by loan. Think long term, right? Think what you can afford, what you can afford. It's very important factor. It definitely affect my decision, because I was thinking about going to emmbry-riddle, but Delaware State was right there, and Delaware State is way cheaper than emmbry-riddle, right? So it definitely the Delaware State University cost definitely was one of the reasons I chose Delaware State University. So when picking a flight school, you definitely want to look at cost. That's not the only thing you want to consider, but it's definitely, I believe, one of the most important factors is the cost, especially if you can't afford it, one of those top-notch school or whatever, right? You should definitely consider the cost. Second thing you should consider should be location, right? You want to decide how far you want to be away from home. If you're going to university, a 4-year school, and you're going to live there, that's fine. But if you're going to be commuting from the airport to your house, you want to determine how close or how far it is, right? But you want to also consider the airspace around the main airport you're going to be flying out of. If that airspace is too busy, might not be the best choice. And also the weather in that general area, right? If you can move somewhere down south like Florida, Texas, or Cali, most of the time they have nice weather, right? You might want to do that. Like, for example, Delaware State, we on the coast, we get a lot of winds, but it's not, I would say we get fairly weather, right? We have good days and bad days, so it's not the best location as far as weather-wise, but it's not also terrible, right? So you want to think about that. It's something you want to think about when picking your flight school, is the location, right? So you might want to ask around people who went there, people who went to that flight school, ask them how high is that location, how is the weather like, how is the airspace around the airport, right? You might want to think about that. It's not I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker, right? But it's something to think about. All right, next, the other thing you want to consider is the school Part 61 Part 141. Right, I go to Delaware State University once again, and my school is a Part 141 school where we have to follow the curriculum, and it's a little bit more structured compared to Part 61 school, where it's a little more flexible as far as time and flight lesson wise, right? And Part 1, if you do a Part 141, eventually you get the restricted ATP at 1,000 hours, compared to Part 61 where you get your restricted ATP at 1,250 hours, right? So 1,250. So some of the different, it's a little more deeper than that, but I didn't want to get too deep into the main difference between Part 61 and Part 141. But yeah, so that's something you want to consider, also depending on what is your pilot goal, right? Are you just trying to get your pilot in commercial and just do your own thing, or are you trying to fly corporate charter, or just be a flying instructor, or I don't know, go to the airlines, stuff of that nature, right? So you want to consider that when you're making that decision between the Part 141 and Part 61 school, right? So something to think about. Honestly, I didn't even know the difference between Part 41, Part 61. Honestly, I just like, when I made my decision, I just know I was going to Delaware State University, and I didn't even know the difference between Part 141 and Part 61 until I got here. Truthfully, if you decide to go to a Part 141 school, some of the things you want to consider, you want to look at the curriculum and look at the curriculum requirement, right? This is one of the things I wish I knew before I attended Delaware State University. So let me get into an example. At Delaware State University, we have to complete the 6 rating from private, instrument rating, commercial, CFI, CFII, and multi-engine add-on. Some other school don't make those. Some other school make only to commercial with the multi-add-on requirement, meaning they don't make CFI and CFII a requirement. It's optional. So that's something you want to consider when you're picking the school, right? Because I didn't know it, right? And let's say, for example, it's like I don't want to do CFI and CFII. That means I won't qualify for that Part 141, and that I won't qualify for that restricted ATP, right? So, and I won't meet those requirements because it's a part of my curriculum. So you want to look into those specific requirement. What is your school gonna make you do, or what is some of the stuff you have to complete in order to graduate from the Part 141 school. The next thing you want to consider is partnership. A lot of flight schools have partnership with different airlines or cargoes companies and stuff of that nature. So you want to look at the flight school you're going to, see if they have partnership with some of these other, with some of these companies, like a float program. I know for example Southwest and if I'm not mistaken, I believe Southwest and JetLinks just merged and created Destination 225, something you might want to look into and stuff like that. I know my school, we have partnership with Piedmont, right? And we just signed a new partnership with Envoy Air, stuff of that nature. So depending on, if you have a specific company you want to go to when you're done with your flight training, you might want to look, okay, what school is my company is partnered with, so that it makes the flow easier from training to that specific company, right? So that's something you might want to consider. That's, like I said again before, this is one of the things I didn't even think about before joining Delaware State University, and that's some of the things you might want to consider. The next thing I would consider when picking a flight school will be safety. Safety. One of the things we always talk about in aviation is safety. So you definitely should consider that a specific flight school safety record, right? Do accidents happen there often? Has a student ever died before? Like, I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but you want to look into that. You want to look in that flight school safety record. It's very important, right? So one way to find out would be to ask previous students, or you can look online, look at the ratings, stuff like that. So that's definitely one thing you want to think about, that specific flight school safety record. That's all I got. Honestly, I would say before you make your final decision, if you have a list of school you can possibly attend, I would say reduce it to like three of school, your top 3, and definitely try to visit those schools and visit those schools and get a discovery flight. A lot of schools offer a discovery flight. I know at DSU we do, right? So if you think about DSU, definitely come down and get a discovery flight on us, on the flight school, and you'll be able to feel you get to feel the environment, get in the sky, fly the plane, meet the instructor. You can ask him one-on-one question, and stuff of that nature. You get a feel for the flight school, the environment you're going to be in and doing your training at, right? So you definitely, that's an experience you want to do if you have the possibility to do so. If you don't, that's really unfortunate, but I would recommend that, do a discovery flight at your top 3 school. If you're indecisive, do the discovery flight, and then I hope that will help you make the decision, right? With that being said, if you have any question whether it comes to DSU or just flying planes or picking a flight school, if you have any question, drop the comment below or hit me on Instagram, in my DMs, and I'll be more than likely to help you out or give you a few pointers, but with that being said, those are the tips or advice, things I would consider when picking a flight school. I hope this helps, and thank you for watching Chill with Ian. Like, comment, subscribe. It was definitely a pleasure to be here, and more video coming soon. Let's go.